invested over 100 billion shillings.
Now, we move on to SMEs. Now, quote, we may be forced to shut down, end quote. We will have no option but pass the extra cost to the consumer. Now, these are some of the sentiments from the Kenyan business owners as they prepare to handle the new taxes beginning now this month, and also that started last Saturday. Now, Jimmy Mbogo spoke to several business owners on the impact of the implementation of the Finance Bill of 2023 and how they are preparing to handle the same.
I'm currently at the East Africa Textile Week. Now, it's a 3-day expo that brings together a number of businesses within the textile industry. Now, the reason we're here is because we have seen the number of taxes that were proposed in the Finance Bill of 2023 that has been signed by President William Ruto, making it a law. How will that affect your business? How is that going to affect your pocket as a business owner? Beginning July, employers will have to match their employees' contribution to the housing fund at 1.5%, a budget that small-scale business owners say they had not planned for. Marvin Kirago, a business owner, tells me that his business may now be forced to halt all expansion plans owing to the high taxation.
It just means that, as we allocate more money to taxes, less and less goes into investing into the business and into marketing and to product. So we're obviously going to have to slow down a bit on expansion of the business just to be able to accommodate the increasing costs of our payroll.
With the new taxes that have come into play, what's going to happen is one of two things. It's going to become, of course, more expensive to do business, which then the most organic thing to do would be to pass on that cost to your customer, right? But then when you pass on the cost to your customer, it might then mean that you make less sales. So if the cost of, let's say, fuel is higher, and fuel is a big part of your delivery process, then you have no choice but to hand that cost over to your customer, because if you absorb it, it reduces your margins.
It is these realities that Koki Nyageo, a mass retail in the textile and clothing industry, foresees her business being forced to outsource and look for cheaper labor elsewhere as a way of mitigating the high cost of staff that will have to be incurred to keep up with production. Koki fears that this may put her business at a disadvantage against competitors who import finished products.
We are doing off the shelf, so we actually produce en masse, like economies of scale. So the profit margin for that sometimes is between, on average, say 50%. Now with the taxes and the cost of energy, it can even go to up to 15%. You still have to remain relevant in the market. And remember, you're also thinking of competition, you're thinking of people who are importing ready-made garments from, say, China or Dubai or other countries, not necessarily the East. But then those ones, because their cost of production is much cheaper, these are the people you're competing with.
To a majority of business owners, the finance bill that has been signed into law by President William Ruto is nothing but a hindrance to their businesses' recovery. Now, they tell me that going forward, some of them may be forced to cut down on their expenses, which includes a number of job cuts that Kenyans will have to deal with on top of the high cost of living.
You can imagine with inflation, currency depreciation, and then you add on, the cost of production locally, which is going to go up because of power, fuel, etc. It's going to be very expensive for the brands who are on our platform to actually maintain the current prices. So I suspect what's going to happen is that there's going to be a knock-on effect with the prices going up.
This now is really about cash flow management and trying to make sure that your margins are sustained, because a lot of these taxes are eaten into our margins as businesses, right? So as a business person, depending on the product or service that you're selling, you need to be intentional to decide, am I ready and willing to take the hits on the margin, or should I just increase my prices so that the customer then covers that cost? Because either way, there's no point of doing business at a loss.
The business owners, however, remain optimistic that the government will heed to their calls for a predictable tax framework, even as they call on fellow entrepreneurs to tighten their belts, manage their cash flow, and seek help from accountants in preparation for the effect of the tax.
Just tighten your belts. Cash is king. Make sure you're liquid. These are short-term headwinds. You just have to survive, and if you survive, I think you will thrive in the long term.
Jimmy Mbogo, KTN News.
Now, the Senate Committee on Energy convened all energy stakeholders